What is going on, everybody? We are back from another episode of the ABJ Podcast, episode 75 of Wade Krueger. We'll bring him in momentarily, but before we get started, I just want to say thank you guys for always supporting and listening and watching. If you are listening later on the audio side of things, make sure you hit a 5-star review. Spotify did just add the Q&A section, so you can ask. We ask what you thought of the episode. You can leave some feedback in there. It'd be very much appreciated. Audio numbers are down a little bit, so we're trying to do anything we can to pump those up. Spotify, Apple, and a few other ones do have 5-star rating systems, so that helps out tremendously. Check the links below for ABJ merchandise, as well as tips or donations, or if you would like to join the Patreon. Right now, Patreon is just a general support that you could do monthly. There's no bonus content. If there's bonus content you want, we can definitely do so. And that's pretty much it. Follow on all social media. We add them all. I know the up above my head here, there's no threads, so we have to add the threads thing up there, I guess, to stay hip and cool. Also, the most important thing is make sure you check my links below for my guests. Follow them on all social media, and if they have any of the merch pages, link to that. Please support them, buy some merchandise, and show them some love. Say, hey, comment and be like, I listen to you guys on the ABJ podcast, and it shows value. And then people go, oh, I want to be on that podcast next because seen Wade's social media blow up with all 2 people, so they loved the ABJ podcast episode. And last but not least, thank you to Suplex Vintage Wrestling for keeping the lights on and keeping this podcast going and thriving. So Suplex Vintage Wrestling, thank you. And guys, it has finally happened. A whole store fully dedicated to vintage wrestling. They said it can never be done, but I have seen it with my own eyes. Suplex Vintage Wrestling is a store curated by wrestling fans for wrestling fans. Located in 5th Street in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, just 1 block south of South Street in the heart of Queen Village. Their shop features the largest collection of vintage wrestling apparel under one roof. Their selection includes classic designs featuring your favorite wrestlers from the Golden Age, Attitude Era, Internationals, Indies, and more. And if you're tired of watching premium live events at home, SVW hosts the best watch party since your friend Kyle's birthday party when you were 12. And if shirts and watch parties are not your thing, let's not forget their selection of figures, replica belts, and trading cards. From their t-shirts and hats to rare wrestling memorabilia, they have something for every wrestling enthusiasts out there. So what are you waiting for? Check them out at SuplexSVW on Instagram or their website, suplexsvw.com, and let them satisfy your professional wrestling needs. That store is absolutely cool. I know that's the CZW show got canceled. People, I guess, called the boys the law enforcement or whatever was happening, and Suplex opened their doors and let all the stars come in during their watch party, and did like a big meet and greet with everybody that couldn't attend and see. So they're super cool. Glad they did that, and they have a lot of cool things lined up coming very soon. We have some people in the chat. Thank you guys so much for joining in. Make sure you use the Stream Element bots. Just trying to buy time now because I was just about to bring him in to get a step away, but he's back. So without further ado, let me bring in my guest, one half of the Stepdads, Wade Krueger. What's going on, bud?
What's up? Sorry, I left. I didn't realize, I didn't notice that we were going to have like Pokemon on the podcast. So I figured I'd go run and grab one.
That's a custom made for me. That's crocheted.
That's sick.
Yeah,
I have a Gengar in the other room actually. But I wanted to go grab. That's awesome, actually.
Yeah, and then Angel Metro, the line she runs for her late husband Dream Eater, so he rocks the Dream Eater hat. Yeah,
that's perfect. Yeah, I figured I would go run and grab go grab a friend.
My homie Lily made that for me. She does custom, so if anybody else wants any crocheted Pokemon, hit her up. She's working hard. I have a run-in over here. I had to tell her, don't scream anything. Anyway, man, thank you once again for doing this. I'm super excited.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been, no, you're good.
My mother, podcasting in my parents' house has been great. She's just staring at me. I'm like, can you fuck off?
She heard the Stepdads were on, so
that's what it was. She heard Stepdads were on, so she needed to come up here and check out the Stepdads. That's exactly what happened.
Look, we're not trying. We're not trying to replace your favorite wrestler. We're just hoping that someday you can love us as much as you love them.
Yeah. Or just trying to be your new stepdad.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah. So when did you fall in love with this crazy business we call professional wrestling?
So I definitely got into it. I got into it when I was younger. It was a little bit before the Attitude Era. It was my dad grew up as a fan and kind of got me into it that way. I remember watching like Saturday WCW Saturday Night. I remember one of the first memories I have is my neighbors had like a Coliseum tape, like VHS tape of matches, and one of like it was like the Bret Hart Jerry Lawler feud, like the Kiss My Foot match.
Yeah.
And like Bret versus Isaac Yankem and that type of stuff. And like I fell in love with Bret immediately. Like so that's like one of my earliest. And like I had no idea what was going on backstage. Like my favorite wrestlers like early on were like Bret and Shawn. So
yeah, it was like being a fan of division rivals. Like if you're a Cowboys and an Eagles fan. Yeah.
And I had no idea. Like I had and then my dad took me to a few shows here in Jersey. I went to a few shows in the Meadowlands and MSG. I don't know which, definitely a few house shows, but my first, like the one I remember the most was SummerSlam 97. My dad took me to that and like it was all like from there on, it was all like I was hooked.
Yeah.
But yeah, that show especially, like I have such high praise for that show. And looking back, that show is so important to wrestling. Like it sets up the Attitude Era. Like the Attitude, like I know people point to certain things, like that show sets up the first Hell in a Cell. It sets up the Bret title run. It sets up the Montreal Screwjob. It sets up Austin doing all the extracurricular stuff because he can't wrestle. Like that show is so important to the Attitude Era. It's wild to like look at how many things it set in motion.
Yeah, absolutely. That was brought the I was pre that too. Like I watched the Hogan, Savage, that whole era, and then when everyone jumped ship, went to WCW, I refused to watch WCW. I put the line in the sand and I was like, I am WWF, and don't. I went to my buddy's house and he was doing the channel flipping on Mondays. I was like, if you change the channel one more time, I'm never coming back here.
I used to watch the WCW undercard, because I was a big fan. Like I loved the cruiserweights and stuff.
Yeah.
So I would watch that. Chris Jericho, early guy that I loved over there. Alex Wright. I know everyone loves Mysterio. Like I was more of a Hoovy guy.
I liked Psychosis. I liked his mask.
So my two favorites were Hoovy and Super Callow. So that's where it's at for me.
Yeah.
And like I loved like the Horsemen and Benoit and Malenko, and like it was such a good. The undercard was so good, and then as soon as they'd get to the old guys, I would switch it off.
Yeah, it ruined a lot. It definitely did. But yeah, so growing up, you're hooked. You're watching it. At what, like, I like to throw this one in here too. Like growing up throughout school and high school and stuff, were you into sports? Were you where did you fall in as a person?
Huge sports fan. Played a lot of sports. Played soccer, basketball, baseball, tennis. Played pretty much.
You had a nice school. You had a tennis team.
I had a tennis team in grade school, but not high school.
That's crazy.
It wasn't like an official school. Like it was kind of like an offshoot, like that someone had put together because why not? But yeah, I played doubles tennis. And then I went to a high school that had no sports. I went to a vocational high school.
Okay.
Literally on the beach on Sandy Hook, New Jersey, not the other one. And like we had no sports. I did ROTC, but that was if you wanted to play sports, you went to like your home school because like the school was everybody from around the county. Mm-hmm. My graduating class had 69 kids in it. It was a small school.
Same here. We're about that size too. So transitioning from school and still being a fan, when did you decide I want to be in this business? I want to seek out a school. I want to start training.
So I originally never planned on wrestling at all. I went to a lot of indie shows. I had fallen out of love with wrestling. Started going to indie shows because my friend was like, yo, Samoa Joe and AJ Styles and those guys we watch on TNA, they're going to be wrestling in Edison at ROH. he's like, we should go. And I'm like, shit, yeah, I'd love to do that. Like, it was like Aries and Strong and like a lot of guys I had seen in like one-offs, but that I enjoyed. And I was like, yeah, dude, I'm so down for that. And it ended up being the ROH 4th anniversary show. The guys I ended up falling in love with were Danielson, Jimmy Rave, and the main event was AJ and Seidel versus Roderick and Aries. It was a crazy show.
Wow.
Yeah, stacked. And yeah, that brought me back into it. And then like my junior year of high school, I had a bunch of friends who were seniors, and we'd all hang out on Sundays and watch pay-per-views, and then drive to school the next morning as a group.
Mm-hmm. Now, did that dive you back into all wrestling, or were you kind of like mainstream is where I'm the ROH?
I definitely enjoyed the indies more, but I still watched because like all my friends watched.
Yeah.
So like that would have been like around like Ray versus Orton versus Angle, like triple threat at Mania, like that era. And yeah, that got me back into it. And I started going to local shows, Jersey All Pro, started doing ringside photography for Jersey All Pro. So like I was doing, it's crazy. Like there's guys I run into now that like I used to do photos for. Like I used to shoot ringside for like Kenny Omega, and like, it's wild. And actually, one of my favorite to go a little off topic. One of my favorite things to do is I have a bunch of photos with wrestlers from that era, and anytime I get to share a locker room with one of them, I always do a current photo and like mash them together.
Yeah.
So I have a bunch of.
Do you still have your old photos of like shows with Kenny and stuff?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Do you have them all on your Instagram and everything like that?
I could definitely post a few up on Instagram if you want.
Yeah, that's good content. That's a good follow.
Yeah, I used to post. I used to post them every once in a while. I definitely posted. I posted one with Danielson. I posted one with Brody Lee. Posted one with Johnny Saint. Like I have a bunch of random, that's crazy. From that Chikara era too. I did a little ringside for them. Yeah, and then that got me back into it. And through that, I met a bunch of other friends who sat in the front row at Jersey All Pro shows who started to backyard. And even then, I was like, I don't want to do, like, I'll come hang out. I'll come hang out and, like, manage, like, and just, like, have fun with it. And then I was like, I think I could do this. Like, I'm watching them put matches together, and I'm like, how have you guys watched wrestling all this time, and, like, you don't know how to put a match together? Like, I feel like this isn't, like, you guys are just doing moves. And I'm like, you can put a match together. There's like, this is not hard. And started doing it from there. And then we had a whole message board with other groups that backyarded, and we met them and did super shows and traveled to like Allentown and upstate New York and did shows with them.
Like super backyard shows.
Yeah. We had,
I want to find like people who are yarding and just into it, and I want to go support them.
we don't find much, sadly. Like we keep an eye out. But yeah, we used to run a yearly show. This is years later, but like called New York Extravaganza, NYE. And we'd have like 80 people, and like people would fly in from the UK and Canada. Dan Makabe flew in, from Vancouver. Will Ospreay almost came to one of our shows at one point.
So silly.
Yeah. Alex Zane was a regular in our yard, like in our super shows. Guys that are like everywhere. The guys who run freelance, like Craig and Matt Nix and those guys, Olsen, they were like the Chad or Ty Hill, like all those guys, they all came from the yard, from the same message boards, and we all had shows together, and it just kept growing. At one point, we used to film like a month's worth of shows at a time on a weekend up in Cooperstown, and we'd air them like once a week, and like we went on Twitter, and like Chuck Taylor was like live tweeting watching them, and I was like, what is happening right now? So like, because we had a ring, we had guys come in who trained and like showed us how to run ropes and showed us how to do the basics and made sure we weren't going to get hurt. It's like guys like Arbo and Andy and the PA guys, Deppin, like they would come in and show us how to do stuff. And like Johnny Cockstrong was a guy that like helped us a lot early on. Eric Corvus, guys like that would show us how to do stuff, and then we'd at least not be hurting each other. But we had a ring. We had rings. We had shows. is wild. Looking back, the stuff we did. I don't know how nobody died. I don't bump anymore because of it. Like I did all my bumps in the yard. I'm done.
Yeah.
I was taking German suplexes in a concrete driveway. Like I'm good.
Oh, no, thank you.
Because guess what? When your friends have seen every stupid thing that's ever been stupided, all you can do is the next stupidest thing.
Yeah. So I would be like, look at them doing this stupid stuff for 12 fans. It's like,
yeah. So I went from never wanting to wrestle to having friends who wrestled to doing the dumbest stuff. And then everyone else kind of stopped. And I was like, I feel like I'm just getting good. Like, I'm going to stop now.
You know what? I never, ever heard someone putting the match together say? I never heard someone who's putting together their match walk up to the promoter and say, how many tickets are sold? And then book their match accordingly. They're just like, what can we do? And then they do it. They don't care. They don't care if there's 100 people out there, if there's 6 people, or if there's 14,000. They're putting their match together the way they want to do their match.
Yeah, there's times where I definitely will like pull back a little, where I'm like, maybe not today, but like there's times where I'm just like, double suplex me on the outside on the floor, or like hit me with a crazy German suit. We had a match up in upstate New York a couple years ago with these guys called the Nachi Mafia, who I love, super underrated guys from the Buffalo area. And I was just coming up with ideas for them on the fly. They're like, we can't make it next month, so we got to get suspended. So we're going to attack teams after the match. I was like, what if you just come out and attack every tag team the whole night? And then you come out and attack everybody. And then you're like, well, now you have to give us a title shot because there's nobody left. And then you get suspended. And I'm like, that's such a good like through line of the night. And I just threw it at the promoter and he's like, yeah, sure. That's a great idea. And I was like, yeah, good. Cause they're doing it.
Yeah.
And they come out after our match and the one dude is like 6'5", jacked. Just starts corner to corner German suplexing me like 4 times. Like I was wearing slippers. They flew off into the crowd. He did 3 of them and I was just dead. And I saw him leaving and the ref comes to check on me and I'm like, yo, tell him to come back and do one more. So like I start to get up and the ref runs down to be like, no, you got to go. And he's like, he wants you to come back. And he just runs beelines down like Charles Robinson running the Mania entrance and just tosses me. And like, I love doing stuff like that. That wasn't even part of the match. Like it was just fun.
I hate when you go to a show. This happened a few times on commentary where like match 2, something happens and the commissioner figure or leader figure comes down like, don't you do that. And then match 3, 4, and 5 all have run-ins, but then he doesn't care about those 4 run-ins. It's like you ruin consistency. So like, I like how you said, just come jump at, like if they do it once, then what's their motive? Just be like, I only wanted these guys. No, you want all of them. Yeah.
There was, we had a match one time with, oh God, I can't think of their name. Born to Wrestle. One of their PA guys, Chris Chichester and
they came to the Sanctuary once. Yeah, Born to Wrestle. We called them Born the Stunt when they came to the Sanctuary.
Yeah, so we wrestled them. We were tag champs. We wrestled them. During the match, they grabbed our thermostat and they climbed to the top to like they were going to turn it up. And they got to the top and they dropped it. And it fell and hit the floor and cracked and exploded. And me and Rad just sat up like and stared at them like the craziest death stare. And we fought out of like the match got thrown out. We attacked them. We fought to the back.
You shot on them.
Yeah. Well, this was semi-planned.
Yeah.
And then we were like, it'd be really funny if we kept fighting
into the next match.
So yeah, intermission comes up and we fight through intermission. We fight through the ring and then like out back to the back. Main events, the announcer comes out and he's like, it's time for the main event. We come out with our gear bags changed, still fighting, hitting each other with our gear bags. We fight through the ring while they're trying to announce the main event start, out of the door, and just never come back.
Sold no merch that night, but it was worth it.
And then COVID happened, so there was no show for 14 months. So theoretically,
you're still fighting.
we fought. That was our last time there. I think we fought forever. We're still fighting.
They should book you again next weekend, and then just fight back out of the crowd. Like 3 people remember it, but it'll be worth it.
We're Russell Crowe fighting around the world right now.
Yeah. So when did now when you joined and got into wrestling, were you a singles guy for a while? When did the tag team really fall in for you?
I did 3 singles matches before with like a different gimmick. I was like a Alaskan mountain man, like very quiet, like brooding, scary. I was Kodiak Krueger. So I had the bear. So the bear thing is the one thing that stayed.
Yeah.
I was doing that, and Rad was doing his a different tag team thing that he hated, and I had my 3 matches. They're awful. Don't look them up. The first match is fine. It's a 6-man tag. It's a tag team and me, so they're tagging each other the whole time. I finally come in for the hot tag. I clean house, and then I walk out because I'm like, why you guys didn't want to tag me the whole time? I'm out. Very basic, like first match. My second match ever was against the guy in his first match ever. It went as well as you would expect. And then my third match ever was an 8-man ladder match. It went, I think, better than it should have.
An 8-man ladder match.
Yeah. I took
was it an indie scene ladder match where they only bring 1 ladder?
Yes. Actually, there may have been 2.
Okay. I watched one where they broke the only ladder they brought, and the ref had to hold the ladder so he can climb it. I
got killed on one. So like I did a spot where I teased my Rikishi driver on a ladder that was across the bottom rope in the corner. So like I teased like I was going to run and spike the guy on it, and he fell off the back, super kicked me, went up top and double stomped me. So I bounced off the ladder, and then he took the ladder and climbed. So it was I liked the finish. Like it was, got to the back. All the vets were like, that sucked. And I was like, probably. And then they were like, well, we don't know if we're going to book you anymore. And I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, you got a really good glimpse of it with my match against the guy in his second match ever. And then an 8-man ladder match. And Rad didn't like what he was doing. So we were like, well, we're going to go workshop this Stepdads thing. And we started doing it at Warriors of Wrestling tapings.
And what year is this?
This is like 7 years ago. So 2016, 2017-ish.
Okay.
We started doing Warriors of Wrestling tapings in Staten Island with Jake Gomez. And just like working our stuff out and figuring out, like the first few matches we have are like way too many moves, no character. Like Rad is hitting like poison ranas and I'm like throwing guys on their head. One of our first matches ever is against Sunny Kiss, which is kind of funny, at a random taping. We felt like we had something with it. So we're like, the company we were doing the other stuff with didn't want to book it. So we're like, well, we're just going to go out and make our way with what we're doing. And a guy who helped us really get started and get our foot in the door of going places and trying new stuff and meeting new people was Mr. Grimm from the Baltimore scene, the Hitman for Hire. Yep. Love him. Great dude. Helped us get our foot in the door in like Rhode Island. And we met people through that and got booked in other places up there through that. So shout out to him.
He's got like 15 kids and he still travels and does this somehow. He's an animal.
Yeah. He's a good dude. He kind of helped us get out there. We wrestled him in our second tag match ever. And I don't know, he didn't hate it. So he didn't hate us. And we kind of just grew from there. And like, it's funny. We really don't have a home. Like we don't have a home promotion.
Yeah. You just kind of travel.
Yeah. Cause like the place we started at didn't want to book the gimmick. So we left and then just kind of made our way from there. And
what's the place that you guys were working? Actually, the night I was at that show, I was going to come in and watch you guys wrestle, and I got so sick on the way up there. I definitely got COVID that night, and I just stayed in the car. I was in the car shivering, like with the heat on. I was dying, and I had to drive Mike and Riley up to the show. And I think that was the night that you guys you did the bit where you dressed up as Tyrant and Tyrant dressed up as you guys.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, at LTW.
That's it, LTW. Yeah.
I love that video, by the way. But so we started SWO out in Central PA, and it just like it's a fine promotion. It just for whatever reason we we never gelled there. It just never worked. I don't know why. Even we went back one time and we're like, oh man, we're so much better now. We're gonna have a great match, and the match sucked. And I'm like, no, let's just stop. Like there's just bad luck. I don't know what it is.
Yeah. Do you think it's because it's like there's a lot of gimmicks in wrestling, but not a lot of gimmick like comedy tag teams, which I think is a mistake. Like, I think what you guys do, you do very, very well, and you're very entertaining. And then you could also go out and actually like, you can do you're like my guest that I had a couple episodes on, like a Stan Styles. Stan Styles can wrestle any style you put at him. He can put any match you want on. But Stan Styles is going to be Stan Styles. And I think the stepdads are the same way. Is you can do what you're asked of, but you're going to get some stepdads in there too.
Yeah, I think so many people get caught up in the idea of like what's gimmick and what's wrestling. And like, it's like, oh, you're a gimmick wrestler. Oh, you're a serious. Like there's the difference between a gimmick wrestler and a wrestler is like so slim. It's such a thin margin. Like I have a move where like I do the dip on the Sister Abigail and I yell, you're grounded. And then I hit it. The only difference between that and anything else is that I take the pause, and that's just character. Like if you don't have nothing bothers me more than when I watch wrestling and like a guy has like all this entrance gear that he comes out, and then he like gets to the ring and it's just in like plain trunks and I'm like, so your gimmick is just your entrance.
He dresses like he's wrestling for New Japan, and then when he gets in the ring, he's an MMA fighter.
Yeah, and I think that's. Like, I get that that's where wrestling's going. And I like it. I enjoy it. I love Japanese wrestling. But there needs to too many people want to be that. And then there's not enough. Like, there should be a little bit of everything. Yeah. When you watch a show and it's just like the same looking guys the whole way down, it's like, well, who am I rooting for? Like,
I loved as a promotion, the venue, the look, the titles, the wrestling of NXT UK when it first started. But every single wrestler wore black trunks, black knee pads, had an undercut with long hair on the top, and had a beard. And everyone looked exactly the same.
It's crazy to me that WWE for a while had more programming than it's ever had, and all of it was the same. There was nothing to differentiate the shows, and there could have been so much to differentiate them if they just... Like, there's so few guys in wrestling that it's like, their gimmick is just, I'm a wrestler who blank. Like... there's very few guys where I'm like, man, I would pay to watch that guy get his ass kicked. Like, I love that in wrestling. Like, it's like,
look at Orange Cassidy. Everyone shits on him and says they don't understand him. And then he wrestles. And after he's done wrestling, you're like, oh, he's amazing. And then next week you're like, I hate Orange Cassidy. And then he wrestles. You're like, oh, like, it's like you have amnesia. Like you forget because you buy into his character so much. Yeah.
Oh, he's the best. Like absolutely one of the best wrestlers on the planet. Perfect example of just like, if he just did those moves, it'd be so boring. Like,
but the whole like, just I'm too good, I'm lazy. Like, I'm too cool for this.
And even in kayfabe, it makes sense of like the idea of he's like baiting you in. It's not that people don't know what he does; it's that they're annoyed. Like we have stuff. Anytime we do silly stuff, we're always like, "How do you want to play this?" Because we can play it where we're the silly ones. Or that they're also the silly ones. Like if I steal somebody's nose in a match, if I do it with someone like Stan Styles, he's going to play along.
Yep.
And he's going to try to get it back. But if I'm wrestling a team like Tyrant, I don't want them to act like I stole their nose. It's stupid.
Yeah. So like I don't knew what it's still here.
So the way you play it that way is they're just getting mad that we're screwing around. Like, and it's the same spot. It's just the way you interact with the other team is what makes it its own thing.
Yeah.
It's nobody's making anyone look bad. It's just fun. The crowd gets into it. Like, I think you need a little bit of all of that on a show. It's like if you got a sundae, like an ice cream sundae, and it was all the same flavor, you'd get tired of it.
Yeah. Absolutely. I totally agree. Wrestling should be like the Muppet Show. There should be a spot for everybody. Like it should be a little bit of flavor. Tyrant, real quick to talk about them. When I first met them, I was like, I'm not going to be into this. I thought when they first came in, they walked in and they're like not too far off what their wrestling gear is when they walk in.
Yep.
And I'm like, man, they take themselves away. And I judged them right off the bat. I'm like, they take themselves way too seriously. I can't and then I watched them go in and they just like immediately will be the scary strong guys, but then also act like complete goofballs. Yeah. And then I went and had an actual conversation and I'm like, they are the sweetest human beings on the like I love those guys so much.
Yeah, and it's that's why wrestling's a collaborative effort. It's like, take a little bit of what makes you, take a little bit of what makes us, and let's make a unique thing that wouldn't happen with any other combination.
Yeah.
I hate when it's somebody's just like, this is my spot, and I do it the same with everybody. Well, then what's the point? Then
I one of the first times I think I ever seen you guys is someone showed me a footage of you guys, I believe at Backbreakers Entertainment, which all the footage is gone, so you can't even see the spot. But it was you. I forget who he was tagging with, but I definitely know Trajan was in it. It might have been AJ Evers. I could be wrong.
I know. Is it the thermostat spot?
The thermostat spot. Yeah.
That's on my TikTok. That has like 30,000 views on TikTok.
Really?
Yeah.
Who is Trajan tagging with?
Evers. Yeah.
Was it AJ Evers? Yes.
Yeah.
So they come out with a thermostat, and like a dad, if you turn the thermostat up, they freak out. So they're dead laid out in the ring. They take the thermostat, they go up to the corner, and they turn it up. And you guys sit up like the Undertaker, and then you go from like the goofy stepdads to just turn into monsters, which is so good. And the first time I seen that, I was like, I love this team. I need this. But like you said, you guys really don't have a home promotion, so you bounce around a lot. And I was like, I never get to see them because you're everywhere.
The funny thing about that spot is like we hit the double choke slam, we kill him, we lose that match. We did not win that match. Like we've won with that before. There is so much other silly crap in that match. At one point,
it's AJ and Trajan. Of course, there's silly shit in the match. They are nuts.
AJ stops us because he lost a contact, and we start helping him and looking around for it, and we get double curb stomped while looking for it.
Yeah. AJ and Trajan are some of the funniest human beings.
Oh, dude, I had so much fun in that match.
Yeah.
We had fun in Backbreakers. We were not we were brought in there not because of Backbreakers, but because of Brad, who asked us to come because he was booking like a new version of the tag division, which was like us, Evers and Trajan, Diamond City, Blue and Gold. And funny thing, before our first match there, we had a triple threat with Blue and Gold, Diamond City, and us. And we're about to walk out, and the actual booker of the show is in the back, and he just looks at us and goes, well, if this match sucks, I didn't book it. And I'm like, okay. And then we went out and had like a 20-minute banger and like left. And then there was like an attack, and we ran back out, and we got like the Hogan moment of like, oh my God, they're back. They're saving the day. And I was like, I came to the back, and I was just like, good luck.
Yeah.
I was just like, I'll never get that attitude, and it pissed me off so much, but like it motivated me, and I needed it. So
yeah. What I probably know the answer to this, but what are some matches or the match that stands out for you guys in your career, and why is it Rock and Roll Express?
It's funny. It's not my choice because it's so simple. Like the whole match is, so we got there that day, and we start putting the match together, and we're talking to Ricky and Robert. We go up to Ricky, and we're just like, hey, we're the guys who are working you today. And he's like, oh, okay, nice to meet you guys. And Robert's over in the corner, like putting a sleeper hold on Mike Skyros or something, just like screwing around and showing them spots. And Ricky's just like, oh yeah, Robert's over there. Don't let anyone know that Robert sucks.
Yo, for how like they are still they absolutely mess with each other the whole time.
The whole time. I have a story afterwards. They kept doing it.
Yeah. Oh, I took the photo.
Oh yeah. So yeah, we start putting the match together, and they're like, so what do you guys do? You know, we could do like hip toss and arm drag. And I'm just like, they're like, what do you guys do? And I'm like, we spank people. And they're just like, oh, you guys don't want to work. You guys don't want to work. You want to wrestle.
Yeah.
Like you want to put a show together. And I'm like, yeah. So we had a silly ass match where like they kept making us accidentally hit each other and like get angry at each other. And then they would like beat us up. And
His exact words, I think he said, we're going to have some fun. Oh, you don't want to work. You want to have some fun here tonight or something like that. Like he looked at Robin. He's like, we're going to have fun here tonight. We're not doing this stupid. We're going to have some fun and not just do the same old bullshit or something like that.
Yeah. So we had a very like story match. Very silly.
I was definitely eavesdropping on you guys setting your match
very,
together.
very
it's
shtick.
Fucking Rock and Roll Express and I'm backstage.
Very shtick heavy. A lot of fun, easy match, all on the fly for the most part. Like stuff got wonky. I was in there for a double down, called on the fly. It went well. Rad took the Canadian at the end, and then it was over.
So cool.
But that match was for Rad. That was like his dream match. I was never like that was never my scene. For me, I had a bigger match that I was more excited for a few weeks later at True, which was the Stepdads versus Unbreakable Andy and Aaron Arbo, which to this day is still their last match. But like I wanted to wrestle those guys so bad, and I love that match. It came out so good. There's a music video for it that Andy made. It's up if you search.
Unbreakable Andy was so criminally underrated and didn't do more than he probably should have. Because like I seen him wrestle a handful of times. He's so good, and then he got a really bad injury.
Yeah, he was kind of scared to get out there too at times. Because I was pushing for him to get booked in Jersey All Pro in like 2008.
I seen him at a mall one time. I was like, bro, you're so talented, and he's just like he just never believed in himself.
Oh man, watch his yard stuff. It's insane. Anarchy Andy. But the A-Team versus Stepdads was like, that's one of my favorite matches. Another match that I loved that is just a straight up wrestling match. It's like two face teams just going balls to the wall for 10 minutes. Stepdads versus Miracle Generation. Love that match. Love those guys. We wrestled them before they were way too big to wrestle us. Shout out to Kylon and Dustin. They don't remember who I am, but I remember who they are. And if they watch this, they'll get very upset that I said that. They're big time stars now.
They're killing it. They're probably, I would say, top 5, top 3 tag teams on the independent scene right now.
Yeah. Oh, they're unreal. And the match we had with them, I thought was really good. And then we kind of, so we had this match that was like super indie-rific with them. Like super fun and crazy, us doing crazy stuff, them doing crazy stuff. And then like it kind of got us unbooked because the promoter wanted us to have a fun, silly match. And I was like, we had to go out and kill it with them. Are you kidding me? We had to prove we could. And the fans were kind of like, I saw them talking about it beforehand. They did like a fan roundtable for the show where they were like previewing the show. And they were like, oh, that's going to be such a silly, fun match. And I'm like, well, now we can't give them that. They're expecting it. But yeah, that's right up there as one of my favorites. We had a UWA match in Jersey here against they were TP5 at the time, but it's Young, Dumb, and Broke. It was Ellis and Charlie. Love that match. It's a really fun. We do some stuff in that match we've never done before. Like Charlie pulls out a cigarette because he's gonna start smoking, and I like talk him down, and like Ellis keeps climbing to the top, and I keep doing the dad thing if I'm gonna give you the 3 to get down. Like really silly stuff, but like then also like a crazy finish. Good like 8-minute match. Stuff like and then the Ugly Ducklings, we had like a 30-minute match of the year with them up in upstate New York. What else? Cold Cash in Connecticut, we had a step ladder match. We're actually doing another in a few weeks.
A step ladder match?
Step ladder warfare, yeah. At Lit Wrestling up in Connecticut. That's happening at the end of the month.
Did you guys cash in during the pandemic when people were doing cinematic stuff?
No, we never got to do a cinematic match.
I feel like you guys should have done like a gutter cleaning ladder match or something like that. Like whoever cleans the gutters out wins the match or something.
We had like a really fun years back. We were in a feud with a team, and we had like everything you could find in the garage type of street fight. So like I was hitting them with a keyboard and vinyl records, and I got choke slammed on a laundry basket, and Rad took a DDT on a VCR. Like it was just a whole bunch of stuff we found at Goodwill. And it was really fun. I love doing like just working our gimmick into like the step ladder matches. I did the Terry Funk spot with 2-foot tall ladder on, and
just
then
spinning.
And everyone just stood there and laughed at me. And then as they stood there,
your elbow stuck out longer than the ladder probably did.
Yeah, so I spun. They just stood in the corner, looked at each other, regrouped. I took it off, and then just sabooed them in the face with the ladder.
So let's talk about the rock and roll rib. What? Because I've told the story before, and now I need someone to co-sign it because it's one of the funniest things that ever happened to me in this business.
Yeah. So yeah, we're in the back. Robert is like quick, undressed, done, handled. Ricky is bullshitting with everybody as he does.
He's Winnie the Pooh in it.
Yeah, and he is Winnie the Pooh in it in just a t-shirt and tighty whities, and a towel at one point. And yeah, I asked Robert before. I was like, before intermission and before we like have to all go and we don't run into each other. I was like, could we get a picture together as a group? And he's like, sure, but it's got to be right now. And he said that just because Ricky didn't have pants on.
Well, as Ricky's doing this, because I'm watching this exchange, Ricky's in the towel because he's just removed the underwear.
Yes. So he's sitting on a chair, and the photo of it is up on like our social media, and it's me and Rad, Robert, and in the front sitting down is Ricky because he has no pants on.
And I'm taking the photo, and Robert is holding his shirt over his junk.
Yeah.
And I literally just said, I'm going to crop up. You're fine. And he goes, oh, okay. And then goes like this, and his shirt just comes right up. And I'm staring right at Rock and Roll Express history. I just started laughing because when he put his fingers up, I was like, oh my God. And then you guys all see me, and then they start laughing. Robert pops. Like it was so funny.
Yeah. 40 years later, they're still ribbing each other. I love that.
He's just like, yeah, we're going to take a photo right now. We have to go right now. And he's like, yep. And everyone's like, what? And he looked over, and there's Robert pulling his underwear off.
Yeah. One of only 2 times we've ever gotten to wrestle like a TV name. The other time was against Hornswoggle.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we had a triple threat. It was us, Dog Nation, and Tommy Floyd and Hornswoggle at True Wrestling.
I remember that show went long because Luke from the Bushwhackers just walked around the arena 150 times and just kept getting more kids. Yes. It just took forever. The match with him and Skyros, and I think it was like a tag. It was like a 6-minute match. But he went another 15 walking around the arena, then walked into the ring, cut a promo, got out of the ring, and then did another 6 minutes around the ring. I was just like, yo, it was like a 35-minute match.
What a time. What a time to be alive.
That was so fun. I think Sunny was there that night.
She was. I ate her pizza after she left.
Yeah.
She left a couple places of pizza. Virgil?
Virgil was there. Actually, Virgil told us that night about something that just dropped now, like about $1 Million Man's kid.
Oh,
he told us about it that night. He's like, yeah, $1 Million Man's coming back with Cameron Grimes because he has to pay some debts off because Vince is going to try to help his boy out of trouble. And then it happened. I was like, yo, Virgil wasn't bullshitting. I was like, he's just talking shit. And then it happened. I was like, holy fuck, Virgil was he dropped some knowledge on us.
Yep.
But yeah. Such a fun night that was. Who are some tag teams on the scene that you haven't worked that you would love to?
I mean, of the bigger like names, like I feel like the Stepdads versus the Acclaimed would be so much fun.
Yeah.
Man, I would love to wrestle anyone. Like,
have you worked main event yet?
No, we were supposed to at True Wrestling, and they had like we put up a post. So we had been asked by the promoter, they were like, who do you guys want to wrestle? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I have no idea. So I was like, let's put up a post and be like, who do the fans want to see us wrestle? And people said the main event. And I reached out and I was like, yo, we should do this. And they were booked, but then they got another booking somewhere else. Yeah. That was a bigger booking. But like, it was funny. The fans would have actually not realized that they had booked a match because that never happens where people say who do you, so we actually were going to do it legit. And then it hasn't gotten to happen.
That'd be a fun one.
Yo, yeah. That would be such a good one. Who were some other, I mean, there's there's certain ones that scare me to wrestle because like I don't think I'm good enough. But like I would wrestle just about anybody, honestly. Like I just love to wrestle.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's I don't watch. I'm like kind of out of the scene of like I don't watch enough to know
Who's on the scene right now, indie wise?
Yeah, I've kind of just been so often doing my own thing that like
if you don't have IWTV, the only indie stuff that you really consume is probably just GCW because it gets the most media attention.
Yeah, and I mean I'd love to wrestle like was it Mance and Manders? They're teaming. Yeah. Like I love Manders. So I would love to do that match. I would love to do some big boy shit with him. Like I just would love to work. Oh, Effie and Allie would be really fun.
Oh, yeah, Bussy.
Yeah, that'd be a really fun match, I feel like, with us.
They're out of control, too. They'll book some out of outlandish shit with you guys.
Yeah. And then, like, there's trios I'd love to do. Like, I'd love to trios with, like, Dan the Dad. I'd love to trios. It almost happened once, and I want it to happen so goddamn bad. I want a trios with Buff Bagwell as the Buff Daddies. I want the Buff Daddies to happen. I wanted to trios at one point with Thomas Santel. I thought that would be such the Ovaltine dream and the Stepdads. I thought would be so much fun. It just like it hasn't happened yet.
You know, it would be a fun trios, and it could
Rick
probably
City Boys
happen.
Would be a good match too. I think
a good trios that could probably happen, especially at Grimm's, because he looks like a little young Rad. That Zach Xander. Because he has like the long hair and like when he grows his little beard and he could be legit like the dad, and then you're the stepdad to him, and it could be like a trio.
the trio should be him, Rad, and Hawthorne because they look like a 3 evolution Pokemon of the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd love to wrestle Diamond City again. It's been a while since we've wrestled them, and they've gotten so much better, and we've gotten so much better. But yeah, I definitely want to wrestle Xander and Precious, like
the new tag team champions.
Yeah. Oh my God, that'd be great. I'd love to work those guys. When Precious first came to, I mean, we knew him before, but like when he came to GTS, I was like, we're gonna adopt you as our child. Like,
he's such a good. I've known him outside of the wrestling business for probably like 5 years before he actually got in. He's such a good kid, and his whole family is just diehard wrestling kids. So this kid is literally living his dream every weekend. One more last question, and we'll get to some fan questions here, and we'll try to squeeze in what you do outside of outside of wrestling. But where did the name Wade Krueger come from? How did that evolve from?
So, my backyard wrestling name was Patrick Wade Wilson, a big Deadpool guy.
Yep.
So, and Patrick was for Patrick Bateman, but it's also my middle name. So I kept the Wade part as an homage to that. And then Krueger I was a heel. I was like, it's funny. I picked Rad's last name in wrestling and he picked mine. Like, I was like, what's a good idea? And I was like, no one uses Krueger. I was like, Krueger sounds good with Wade. And we were originally heels as a stepdad. So I was like, that's such a good, like, terrorizing kids name.
Yeah.
And then he was looking for something. He's like, I need something that's like kind of fancy, but like kind of stuck up, but kind of not, because he was doing a heel thing. And I was like, well, Belmont. I was like, I'm a Castlevania guy, so I was like, yeah, Belmont's perfect. And then Radley is from his backyard thing. So like we're both amalgamations of horror characters and our yard first names.
I love that. I knew the Krueger was, and I kind of thought the Wade was from Deadpool, but you have to ask. So here's a question in the chat. Where are some places in the world you'd want to wrestle?
Oh, man, I'd love to do like a show in actual, like we did a show in Queens once, but I'd love to do a show like in New York City, like just somewhere. MSG obviously would be a dream, but like Prudential Center too would be like, those would be two places that are local that would be like dreams. But I just want to wrestle anywhere that'll have me. I'd love to wrestle anywhere that would want to fly me out to go there.
Yeah.
Like that's it. I'd love to say I love Japanese wrestling. I'd love to say I'd love to wrestle in Japan, but I'm terrified to do that. So like, there's no way I'm keeping up with those guys. They're crazy. But like, I'd love to do like the UK. I love it over there. So I'd love to do.
I'm taking my first trip. I fly out on the 23rd.
Yeah,
actually,
I love
the person who asked this question is he essentially got us tickets for All In.
Hell yeah.
I've never been to a pay-per-view, and I'm going to go to the one that's probably going to be the biggest wrestling draw of all time.
Yeah. I
lucked out there.
I've only been to 2. One of them was SummerSlam when I was 9 or 8 or whatever I was, and one was Full Gear this past year.
Well, here you go. This one's kind of asked by 2 different people, but what are some of your favorites right now in Impact, New Japan, AEW, MLW? Who are some people? Okay. Who are some of your favorites out there?
I mean, it's going to be more historic, but like to give you like a current guy I love, and I've known him a long time, and I love what he's doing right now, and I think he's the freaking man, is Alex Coughlin. Love Alex Coughlin. Absolute monster. Dope mustache. Dude is still somehow underrated to me. And he's doing some of the craziest crap I've ever seen. Like, he is so unreal strong. And I taught him to take his first bump. So like, I love that he's out there doing crazy, huge crap. AEW, like I said, I'd love to work the Acclaimed. One of our first shows ever at Warriors was the first people we met were Max and Bear Bronson. So like, I love those guys. I root for them to do well all the time. Orange Cassidy, absolutely one of my favorites. Going back a little bit, like I'm a huge mark for Lex Luger. Not because there's something I just like, that is a nostalgia thing that I loved him as a kid.
I've seen him twice recently, and it's just like, wow, that's the same human.
Yeah, it's he seems to be in a good place mentally though, which is nice to see.
Crazy thing too is you have people who real quick, thank you so much for the follow on stream, appreciate you. The person on the left looks like Kevin Owens. He's my cousin. What if it keeps you here? No, we're not really fans.
Those are also guys I love. Owens and Zayn.
Sammy. Yeah,
I used to like, they were guys that I got to hang out with at backstage at Jersey All Pro, and they were sweethearts then, and they're the best now. Brody Lee was a guy I loved back then. R.I.P. Like, absolute sweetheart. Kenny Omega used to play like Xbox with that dude. One of the like super nice dude. Love him. Love the Bucks. Like, I would watch any of those.
Did you get to work with Cole at all when he was on the scene?
I actually got to take promo photos of Cole backstage at Jersey All Pro show.
Him and Kevin Owens are my 2 favorites right now.
Yeah, those are guys that like, I definitely have like the promo shots that I shot. It's such a weird mix of people. It's like Adam Cole, like Eddie Kingston, Necro Butcher, and like Drake Younger.
What? What are some of these things?
Like the Osirian Portal.
There you go. Another one who just recently skyrocketed for me. I'm new to the Japan scene, and I watched one match of the guy, and I thought he had the best match on the whole card. I don't care what people tell me. And then he left, and I was like, this guy's the best in the world. Just what he does in the ring and how he could tell a story. Jay White is so incredibly talented. He's so good.
One of the coolest things in the past like couple of years for me is we did work a show in New York. It was the show that Del Rio had the viral thing where he didn't get paid.
Yeah.
So, like, I didn't get paid that day, but I was getting paid in stories, and I also got to meet like a few of my favorite wrestlers from Japan on that show, which was like, for me, like
Ultimo Dragon was there, right?
Ultimo Dragon I had met before. I've been on 2 shows with Ultimo Dragon. I don't know how that's happened. But the coolest guys I got to meet on that show, who are guys that I grew up watching and love watching now, were Nakajima, which is like, I've been watching him since he was like 20, and he was tagging with Kensuke Sasaki, who was one of my all-time favorite Japanese wrestlers. And oh my God, who the hell else was there? It wasn't Kenta. It was Marufuji. Marufuji was there, and Marufuji is like incredible. So
yeah,
that was like awesome for me. I love like that era of like Noah guys, of like Marufuji, Kenta, Go Shiozaki. Those guys were like, I love that stuff. I love strong style Japanese stuff, even though I work the silliest gimmick.
You and Turner get along great then, Matt Turner.
Oh yeah.
So outside of professional wrestling, what are some of your hobbies and some passions? I know you guys used to or still do a podcast. Is that still a thing?
We do not anymore. Thankfully, that was taking years off my life watching awful WCW Thunder episodes. I'm a big sports guy. Love hockey. I have Devil season tickets. Love the sport. Let's go Devils. As you could, I'm big Pokemon fan. I have a bunch all around the house in different places.
Who's your favorite Pokemon?
I'm a Charmander guy.
Okay.
Since day one. More recently, I love Fuecoco. I think he's like the stupidest little derpy crocodile, and he has no thoughts in his head, and I just want to protect him. Love Bidoof. Love if a Pokemon looks like it has never had a thought, I love it.
Like a Slowpoke.
Slowpoke, Totodile, Bidoof, Wooper, and Quagsire. Shuckle, like love them. Love the derpy Pokemon.
I like the ones with the really creepy Pokedexes. Like when you're reading, you're like Gengar's like it will kill you. Like there's no escape.
So like Drifloon.
Yeah, Drifloon. Was it Pichu? If you take off its hood, you'll die looking at it, but it keeps its Pokemon like it keeps
Mimikyu. Yeah,
Mimikyu. Yeah.
There's a whole. There's so many.
Yeah.
I love Pokemon. Been playing Pokemon Sleep lately. By playing, I mean I've been sleeping and tracking my sleep.
Do you have to have a special device for that, or can you just do it from your phone?
Just do it from your phone.
Really?
Yeah, you just turn it on and it tracks your sleep, records the awful sounds you make, and Pokemon show up and you befriend them and they help you feed Snorlax. It's like a very passive game, but like it's cute, so I play it.
All right. I'm downloading it tonight. I thought I needed to have the special Pokemon watch.
No, you don't need it. You just like put your phone like next to you, face down on the bed. As long as it's charging, it'll be fine.
Okay.
What else? I'm a gamer somewhat. I don't play as much as I used to, but like I have all my old consoles, like Super Nintendo, N64, PS2. They're all hooked up. I was playing MLB The Show right before I got on here.
Did you see that kid that on TikTok? My brother's an MLB Twitch streamer, Captain Butters, for everyone out there who wants to go follow him. But there's a guy on there, he'll play the game and then he like cuts to himself in a green screen. So say if his player makes a stupid error or he gets called out when it's clearly safe, it'll be a green screen of the instant replay and he'll be standing there, "What's wrong with you?" He's screaming in the guy's face. Bro, I watch this. I'll send you a TikTok or two of him.
Nice.
He's so fucking funny. He's just insane.
I've been playing co-op lately. Me, Coach Mikey from the Ugly Ducklings, and Wheeler Yuta have been playing MLB The Show lately.
That's crazy.
Weird combination of humans. What else? I tried. I'm trying to be smart about like eating and just go for walks. And I love music. I have like 10 concerts planned coming up that I'm going to before the end of the year.
Anything big?
All American Rejects of Newfound Glory.
If you're a punk emo kid.
Oh yeah. But then like the next week, Smashing Pumpkins and Interpol. What else? Thursday, I'm going to see the band Thursday on a boat. I'm very excited for that. Violent Femmes are coming to New Jersey. I'm going to go see them. Modest Mouse, that's my favorite band, so going to see them. Them and the Pixies.
That's a great show.
Yeah. I don't have tickets. I'm just going to go hang out because it's an outdoor show. So like you could hear it from the beach. I'm just going to go chill on the beach or on a bar and listen.
Last concert I went to, I don't know if it was the Hello Omega tour with Green Day, Weezer, Fall Out Boy, or if it was Ghost and Volbeat. I left there a huge Ghost. I love Ghost. They're so fun. It's like pro wrestling and music. There's like their gimmick, their shtick. Volbeat's terrible. I'll never see Volbeat ever again.
I saw Weezer with Panic at the Disco like 7 years ago.
Oh, I love Weezer.
Me too. I have a picture with Weezer. I'm giving Rivers Cuomo bunny ears.
I love that.
Love. The most recent show I just went to was Sad Summer Fest, which was like Taking Back Sunday, The Maine, Mom Jeans, Hot Mulligan, and Head Automatica. And I was like, yeah, sign me up. I got tickets.
That sounds like Tony Deppin's Wet Dream, right?
Oh, I got tickets for $10, bro. I was so in. Like I decided the day before. I'm like, I'm going to this.
I forget who Deppin went and seen the day after he broke his arm when he wrestled Zach.
He had pictures of. I know he went to see Hot Mulligan. I know he went to see Tiger's Jaw, all around the same time. That's another band I'm going to see. I love just I love going to live shows. I'll go to any live music. Like went out to Nashville, it was like the most fun, just bar hopping and listening to music everywhere I
See,
went.
I was always under the impression that if you go to Nashville, it's all country music, and they're like, no, bro, every
it
genre
depends
of
on the
music.
bar. Some of them are more like old school country bars. Kid Rock's is like no country at all. I don't like him, but his bar is pretty dope. So
I'd go in there and drink him at a Bud Light.
It's so funny that like everyone was like, "Oh, the Bud Light thing," and I'm just like, I think he still serves it at his bar. So like,
he does. Yep.
Yeah. So guy's full of crap.
Shocker. I think he's doing it. Is he opening up, or did he open up SummerSlam, or was that a thing?
Oh yeah, he did.
He did.
I did not. I was like half watching at the time.
Yeah, I didn't see
I actually did watch SummerSlam. It's the most recent thing I've watched at my friend's house. We had it set up in the yard on a projector, so we watched.
That's a good. It's way better to watch. Like I had to watch it by myself and I fell asleep. But pro wrestling is meant to be a group activity.
Oh, and to swing it back a little bit, two guys I absolutely love and will go out of my way to watch in WWE because they're awesome and everyone should love them. And one of them is getting the respect they deserve, and the other one is starting to get there. Gunther is the best, and anyone who says otherwise is wrong.
Yeah.
Oh my god, why am I blanking?
LA Knight.
Yeah, it's the Russian dude from UK NXT. Oh my god,
the Russian dude from NXT UK.
Yeah, Russian WWE. What the frig is his name? Why can't I think of it? He had the matches with Gunther.
You mean Scottish?
No, not Drew McIntyre. In NXT.
Oh, Dragunov?
Dragunov. Ilya Dragunov.
Yeah.
Dragunov is, I don't know why. I have his shirt. I couldn't, it's one of those days. Dragunov is unreal. Like one of the best.
I thought Dragunov was German. I'm not going to lie. I didn't know he was Russian.
Yeah. One of the best baby faces in wrestling right now. His babyface comeback, his facial expressions, they're so good. He's such a good face in peril. I love watching him wrestle. His like full on crazy breakdowns as he makes his comeback. They're awesome. Absolutely awesome. And then the last thing I would say I do is like I collect autographs. I have so many. I have like 5,000 autographs of
wrestling or just all around.
Not many wrestling actually, because I don't like getting things signed by people who aren't signing their real name. It's weird to me.
Okay.
I have three wrestling autographs: Goldberg, Bret Hart. Actually, well, Kenny Omega, but like those I got in person. Like I was just given.
You know what my Holy Grail autograph is? I was at Hamburg and IWTV. Jerry was there, and he had a whole bunch of Shakar 8x10s.
Hell yeah!
And he had the Colony. He had Tracy, Orange, and Gulak all under masks, autographing it as the ends. And I was like, that's a must-have.
I have a I have a hate by 10 from Jerry from when he wrestled in Chikara. Because he didn't do 8x10s, he did hate by 10s, where he would tell you why he hated you and then sign it. Yeah. But yeah, like right next to me, I have like a stack.
Oh no, it wasn't Jerry. It was Gary. Gary from Smart Mark. Yeah, Gary was selling them. Yeah,
I have like my stack of autographs. It's like separated by sport, but just like to grab some literally off the top. The first one I grabbed, like John Waters.
That's awesome.
Who else is here?
Joey Image in the chat. What's going on, Joey?
If you want to go with the Krueger thing,
yeah,
Heather Langenkamp.
Did you ever meet Robert England?
I haven't. I have met
just too much. I won't stay in line.
I have met Lloyd Kaufman,
That's
aka Toxic Avenger or creator of Toxic Avenger, like Julie Newmar, the original.
I was in a line with her, but I was for Adam. It was Adam West, Julie Newmar, and Burt Ward all there, and I stood in the Adam West line with somebody just so I could hear him talk. And he didn't say a word to anybody that he autographed. He literally autographed it and handed it off. He didn't say a word.
Here's an incredible two that I have that go together. So we have
Uncle Rico,
John Grease, and
Napoleon Dynamite,
and Napoleon. And then like under here is like I have a bunch. If you've ever seen the movie The Room, like the worst movie of all time, Denny. Chris R, where's my fucking money? Like it's just a thing I started doing at one point, and
the coolest one I had, I don't even think I have it anymore. I think my wife, my ex-wife has it. We met Tom Savini, and he autographed my favorite movie of all time, Dawn of the Dead poster.
Oh,
And I got it autographed in Monroeville. And then 3 tables down from him was China, and she had nobody at her table. And I walked up and I was just like, "Hey, thank you so much for everything you've done in your career. You're the greatest woman to ever do this." And her handler goes, "If you're not paying, you need to leave." And I went, "There's nobody here. I'm just saying thank you." And she goes, buzz off. Like she was super rude. And China just stood there and she just looked like she wasn't home at all. And she actually passed away like 3 days later.
That's rough.
Yeah.
Here's an incredible few in a row just that I grabbed off the top of this stack.
Red Dog Wrestling says, "What's up there, Papa Wayne?"
We got
is that from Daredevil?
Yep.
He's such a good Daredevil. I need more Daredevil in my life.
My favorite TV show of all time, Boy Meets World. We got Sean Dad, Blake Clark. I'm an ID your man. And then if
Vader was in that show, right?
Yes. 90s kids will appreciate Mark Summers, yeah. And then this is one of my absolute favorites, so I'm glad I found it right here.
Alex Trebek. We have someone in the chat who is a game show nut. He's gonna love that autograph. He's a big game show guy.
Then you know what else he'll really enjoy?
Do you have
Bob Eubanks?
There it is.
From the
Hunter, if you're still in here, I hope Hunter's still here. Hunter actually in our Discord hosts game night, and he like has all these like crazy games, and he puts them in the Discord and everyone plays along. He's like huge game show. Yeah.
This is a personal favorite of mine, but I'm a huge Twin Peaks fan, so Kyle MacLachlan.
I've never seen Twin Peaks. I should probably watch it. I was told I really like it.
It's certainly weird.
There's Hunter there. He says, "I freaking love this." He loves your game show stuff.
Yeah, so that was just like the stat. That's literally right next to where I'm sitting.
I love that. Did you go to cons and get these?
So some of them, yes. Some of them I've gotten just like through a mailing address to like a fan club, or like I'll print the photo out. I have a photo printer. I print it out. I mail it with return postage. Write a letter why I'm a fan, and just mail it. And like 2/3 of them have come back over the years. And I've been doing it for like 12 years. I started doing it because I was like really depressed with my home life, and I had all this extra time, and I was like, I should do something. And I'm like, well, what can I do to brighten my day? And I was like, well, if I write to these people and pay for stamps and print out the photos and send them. It was originally baseball cards. It's like it gave me something to look forward to in the mail every day, other than like junk mail and bills.
Or Amazon purchases.
Yeah. So it became kind of a thing I did. I started doing it in 2010, and like through the mail, I've probably gotten like 3,000 or 4,000 autographs over the years.
That's nuts.
Yeah,
it's nuts. Who was the most shocking that you sent out and that you came back with?
Leslie Nielsen early on was a really surprising one. A few times I've sent to like Broadway shows, because that's always a good place to like send if someone's on Broadway. Like very recently, I just got back Tatiana Maslany as She-Hulk, which was really cool.
Wow.
Mark Ruffalo was a really cool one. Jeremy Renner was a really the Marvel ones were all really cool.
Yeah. I did a podcast a while, like back in the day. It was called Not Cool in High School. And the one guy on the podcast was just into weird, creepy, off the wall things. And you know those chick tracks, those little religious comic books. So he wrote a letter to the guy, like saying about his things. And they sent him like an original art piece.
That's awesome.
And like only 3 people in the world have anything by this guy.
Oh man, yeah. 2 really cool ones I have to go off that is I mailed to the creator of Darkwing Duck, Tad Stones, I believe is his name.
Hunter has Alex Trebek, Pat Sajak, and Vanna White. He also has a Bob Baker autograph trading card somewhere. That's
Bob
awesome.
Barker. Yeah. I mailed to Tad Stones. It's either Stones or Stone. I'm unsure off the top of my head. It's one of those days. But he signed my Darkwing Duck photo and also did a sketch of Launchpad for me, who's my favorite character, and mailed it back. It's like I have that framed in the other room. I sent to the creator of the Tick, the comic and the show, and he did like a whole drawing on the photo and mailed it back. Like stuff like that is so crazy to me.
I had a buddy who has Hulk, the edition of Hulk where Wolverine makes his first appearance at the last page, and then he has the next issue where Wolverine's in the whole issue, and Stan Lee signed both of them and drew
Nice.
He did a doodle of Wolverine on the comic.
I go to Comic-Con every year, and I have a bunch of comics signed in the other room. Like there's some really cool ones in there, like John Romita Jr. and like really famous like artists and writers and stuff. That's always cool. Like I have New Mutants 2 signed by the like stuff like that is just cool to me.
I would love to get Hush signed by Jim Lee, or one of the Batman comics, one of the two we did by Kevin Smith and Walt Flanagan.
I have an issue of Daredevil that's currently sitting at my job. Kevin Smith comes to my job all the time.
What?
I work at a vegan bakery, and
dude, Kevin Smith's the reason I do this. Like, I sold all of my collectibles and to buy the equipment to start my podcast because that's what he did to chase his dream with Clerks.
He's
a huge hero of mine.
I live 10 minutes from his movie theater, like that.
I know. I want to go there so bad, and the grocery store, the Quick Stop.
Yeah, that's 10 minutes from my house. It's so funny. I've run into him. I've never met him, but like I've been like walked past him so many times, and he always comes to my job when I'm not there. So I currently have an issue of Daredevil sitting in my job waiting to be signed for the next time he comes in. That's signed by like the rest of the people who've worked on it already, just not him. Yeah. He recently, they just did a showing of the Clerks animated series at his theater.
Such a good cartoon.
And it sold out before I could go, but I was gonna go because Brian O'Halloran and Jeff were both there, and I was like, ugh.
I love Steve Dave too.
Dude, I went to a Q&A. Actually, I went to a live commentary with Kevin Smith for Clerks 3 in his theater for $10.
Yeah, when I'm in the area, I'm hitting you up.
Yeah, hit me up.
What's your favorite Kevin Smith movie? I own Dogma on Blu-ray, which is like $200. It's like a $200 Blu-ray. Yeah. And I have a steel copy of Red State, UK version.
So nostalgically, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back is okay. A personal favorite because like I shouldn't have owned it as like a 12-year-old, but I did.
Jamie's a big wrestling fan. I love that.
Yo, that's awesome. Yeah, he grew up in the town. Dude, I was just at the Secret Stash this weekend.
The new one?
Yeah. It has a bunch of props in it. It's really cool.
And the Tell 'em Steve Dave store is like right down the street, right?
Yeah, it's all in this area.
In Red Bank.
Yeah.
I want to go so bad.
Yeah. Come to me, we'll go. I'll show you.
All right. Cool.
I think the hardest I've laughed at any Kevin Smith movie, so I think it has to be my favorite, is Clerks 2.
Okay.
I just can't. It hit me at the right time. Like I was in high school when it came out. I remember them filming it near here. Like, so I was watching. Like I went to some of the filming. Like that is just it's so funny. It's such a funny movie. The original is really funny dialogue wise. The second one is just nonstop. Like laughs per minute is like off the charts.
Yep. Yeah. So, Clerk. I have a 3-way tie between Clerks, Mallrats, but I think the one that tips a chain for me. I love Chasing Amy.
Yes, I know a lot of people who love. It's just, I think Clerks 2 has to be my choice. It's just like in such, I don't know. It harkens back to my high school years. Like I was too young for Clerks when it came out. But Clerks 2 hit the right time, and Clerks 3 was. I know people have mixed feelings about it. I loved it. I thought it was incredible. I cried.
If you didn't cry, you're not human.
No, and it was all shot locally, and like all the original people from the original Clerks came back to do like bit parts. It was so cool. Like
I live in a small, shitty little coal region town, and I started this podcasting thing because of Kevin, and I love his dreams and just chasing his dream, and that's why I'm doing what I do. But I also love the fact that he is being paid to be himself. Like he's not a character, he's just being paid to be who he is as a person, and that he got so famous and so popular that he helped other people get there too, like Q from Impractical Jokers. Like they're all part of the same circle, and he helped so many people get to where they want to be, and people travel to his hometown because he put shit there. Because when he made it big, like he doesn't live there, but he gave back to where he came from, and he's such a good human being.
He actually does. I think he has an apartment above the movie theater now, where he.
Oh, really?
Because he posts all the time of him, like Like he goes to the theater just for like random movies. Like my friend went to see Barbie at his theater a couple weeks ago, and they were sitting next to him, and they were sitting next to him, Harley and Austin, like just like watching Barbie.
So
like he
crazy.
just goes. It's like $15, and so he just might show up.
Yeah, I love that so much. Is it a good theater?
What
is it? Is it a nice theater?
It's crappy, but it's a theater he grew up going to movies in.
I love
so like
that.
he plays like the movies like that he watched there. So it's like the movies that made him, and like he does. Like when we saw it just after he had bought it, we went to Clerks 3 live Q&A. It was $10. It was just like a random tryout thing, and now he does it all the time. But he did like a full Q&A and was talking about it, and he's like, "Oh, I think I watched Die Hard in this theater like as a kid."
And now he hates Bruce Willis.
Yeah, and then he told the story
also
about how he became friends with Alan Rickman like afterwards, which was like really cool. If you look at his Instagram, he's like he posts like photos of him like walking and like stuff. It's a lot of that's like in the town. Like he's there fairly often enough that he comes to like our bakery, which is a few towns over.
I'm hooked. I'm there.
One day he'll be there when I show up. It always happens where like he comes on like a Sunday, and I'm like driving around, and I get back, and
is this a theater around the corner from the Stash?
It's not the Basie Cinema, so that's in Red Bank itself. That was bought by Count Basie Theater, which is like the big music thing. His theater is in Atlantic Highlands, right off Route 36. It's called the Smodcastle Cinema. It's right near where like the Sea Streak ferry goes over to New York City. It's a cool little strip of like, it's like the main street into town, and it's like all the restaurants and the theater. I used to go see movies there when I was in like 8th grade, like before he bought it.
So sick.
I definitely went to see Harry Potter there and Kung Pao Enter the Fist. So it's been around forever, but it's a cool little hole in the wall. It's a shitty theater, but like you're going for the experience.
Yeah. So in closing, man, is anything that you want to plug, you want to get out there, tell people about?
I would say definitely check out the Stepdads on more rad lately because I've been hurt, but weekly. Check us out on GTS Wrestling, Grimm's Toy Show. And we have a few shows coming up at the end of the month. The 25th, we're in Connecticut for Lit Wrestling's debut show, where we're having a stepladder warfare 4-corner match. And we're back at LTW where we're defending our titles the 27th on a Sunday in Tom's River. So look up LTW, and I think it's Dandy Mania. That's about it. Any other plugs are already in the bottom, so I don't need to plug that stuff.
Yeah, dude, thank you so much for this. I had such a good time.
Yeah, sorry I held you up so long. I know.
No, I love it. I had to kill it because if we would have gotten into a pop culture thing, we'd have been here all night.
Yes.
But listen, here's what I say. I know a lot of people are like, oh, the podcasting game. Every podcast asks the same questions, but I think it's important to document this because I want to eventually get to this point with the podcast where I interview musicians or I interview other people in other fields, and I want to keep it very baseline questions because it's like a good like introduction to the person, and then when I have you back on later, then we can talk for an hour about bullshit. You know what I mean?
Any good interviewee can branch off to what they want to talk about from the basic questions anyway.
Yeah,
like that's the whole point.
That's what I try to do, and so it comes down to the guest. You know what I mean? Sometimes people have really good stories, like, and they go longer on their intro, and then we can't really get to it at the end. But it depends of interview to interview. But I had a really good time with this one. I hope everyone did in the chat. Make sure you hit the thumbs up button over on YouTube. If you haven't already, go over and hit subscribe. I think we're getting really close to 750. So we're still on that quest for 1K. Someone commented on the thing and they're like, oh, a GTS member. I look back, I'm like, I have like 6 GTS people I've interviewed, including Grimm, which is super thankful he did that for me. But yeah, I've never been to the establishment. So I gotta ride out one day.
It's a fun time. Like I haven't been there lately because last time I was there, I got hurt, and I've been taking a little time off. Yeah. But like, I enjoy wrestling there. The scheduling has just like worked it badly for me, and I've just been banged. I've had bad luck lately.
Yeah.
My parting words. I just want to say this because I always like to say this. And you made me think of it because you brought up like the musician thing, and it's all performance art. Mm-hmm. Wrestling is drag. Enjoy it for what it is. It's a show. It's a good time. Love each other and enjoy what you enjoy.
There's no other way we're going to end it just right there. Here's some music by the Converse kid, Billy Trey, who looks like the lead singer of Weezer. We'll see you guys next time. We're out of here. Actually, real quick, I do have to end with this. Come back tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll be back at 7 p.m. once again. The interview got moved from Thursday to Wednesday. Tomorrow we're with Big Dan Champion, baby. So come hang out. Come hang out with us.
Guy kicked my ass in basketball one time.
Yeah. So come hang out tomorrow, 7 o'clock with Big Dan Champion, and we'll see you later. See you tomorrow.